You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by. On the morning shift.
Anything
could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
All right, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift, not news shift on the morning talk. Anyways, we're talking in the morning anyways. Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. Thanks for being with us. I'm AJ Walsh. We'll be with you for the next hour or so, 55 minutes at least. We're grateful to be on each and every morning on CKLU 96.7 FM on the radio, CKLU.ca online. You can listen to us on the radio. You can stream us online. You can take us with you and listen to us anywhere, anytime. If you download the Radio Player Canada app from CKLU's website, if you just click on it, you'll be able to stream us. But if you download it, then you got it, and you can take us with you. Other great programming as well from CKLU. Just go on CKLU.ca. You can support the station, been around since 1984. Sudbury's campus and community radio station, basically volunteer driven, whether it's behind the mic or it's lending your talents to whatever technology, volunteers. We have people behind the scenes that are working on computers and helping keep the radio towers working and all kinds of stuff, managing the volunteers, things like that. Anyways, but your support, financial support, helps keep us on the air because there are expenses. So we appreciate that. And anyone who wants to help out this show in particular could just e-transfer to sudburynews@gmail.com. And we appreciate that as well. There are expenses for this show over and above the expenses for the radio station. So again, thanks for being on, everyone. We really appreciate you. We're also streaming live at facebook.com/Sudbury News, youtube.com/Sudbury News. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, follow. Mainly, we want you to comment because this is your show on your station. We'll do our best to get your comments read for those listening, whether it's on the radio or streaming, and get them up on the screen for those watching. So thank you very much. Without further ado, let's dive right in. We got a great show. It's been a weekend. There's been, the Sudbury Wolves, the Sudbury Five. Both were in action this weekend, and Sudbury split 2 games between Erie and Barrie. We lost one, we won one. Sudbury 5 won on their game on Saturday night, and also Laurentian's games went ahead as well, as it was the triple header basketball day. So for those who were able to get out and enjoy it, I know you had a great time. It was a fun time down at the Sudbury Arena, and so let's dive right into some weather. We're going to have some local headlines, and we'll talk about, our state of our minds these days. Like, how many people are really happy that you meet with the state of our city, the state of the world, our country? Do you meet a lot of optimistic people? And if they're not optimistic, is there a reason for it? And so Tucker Carlson has sat down with one of the leading gurus of positive energy, and we'll have that, Tony Robbins, actually. We'll have a little segment from that later. So I appreciate Tony Robbins. And again, just watching the preview of what we're going to play today. Again, it's just common sense telling us not to be extremists in any regard, talking about those that feel the world's going to end because of climate alarmists, that it's just not true. I love the fact he just came out and said that. Today it's hard to say that when there's so many voices screaming at you that activists, we have to listen to radical activists all the time and bow to the altar of the radicalization of our politics and our school system and everything. So it's just great to hear common sense. So if and we'll show how all of that's probably leading to Canada being the top four, one of the top countries, fourth in the world on people taking antidepressants. You know, so that's probably one of the outcomes of listening to people like that all the time. So we'll have that and much, much more for you when we get back right after this. Stay tuned. Weather, sports, and news headlines, and a chat with y'all when we get back. And Sudbury weather, as usual, brought to you by sudburyweather.ca. -5. Hey, it's a lot less cold out there. Feels like -14, but actually to me it felt like -5 this morning when I was out and about getting into my car compared to what we had the last few days before that. Now, today we can expect 40% chance of flurries this morning. Flurries beginning near noon. Wind gusting up to 50 kilometers per hour, high of -4. Wind chill will feel like -16 this morning, high of -8 this afternoon. The wind chill will feel like -8. Now, tonight, flurries ending late this evening, then cloudy with a 30% chance of flurries again. The wind will be moderate and low will be -11 with the wind chill, -8 this evening, and -16 overnight. Tuesday, cloudy. That's tomorrow. Wind, very mild, coming from the northeast. High of -7. Wind chill -19 in the morning and -12 in the afternoon. A look at your long range. Tuesday, -7 and cloudy. Wednesday, 0 and cloudy. That's January 24th. It's 0. January 25th, chance of showers or, yes, rain on Thursday. 40% chance of precipitation in the form of either flurries or rain. High of +1. Now the next day, 60% chance of flurries or rain. So Thursday and Friday, flurries or rain. 60% chance. High of -1 on Friday. Then mix of sun and cloud. High of -3, high of -4 Saturday and Sunday. Now, as we remember last week when it said, I think it said 3 days of pure sun. And I was like, good luck with that one. And exactly. Not 1 day of pure sun. We don't get that anymore. You'll have maybe a sunny morning and then you'll see the strips, the lines of, of exhaust in the sky. And then you'll have a cloudy day because you can't have a full sunny day where there's not one cloud in the sky. It just can't happen anymore. And there's no explanation for it from mainstream. So it is what it is. We live with it. We see it. It's above our heads. Don't ask why. And just keep moving on. Take your antidepressants and go to work. Just don't get COVID and you'll be fine. Now, here's a look at your satellite view over Northern Ontario. Lots and lots and lots of clouds. So that's the reason for the forecast. So there could be flurries today, and then, Thursday and Friday, rain or flurries. So just got a lot of clouds, a lot of precipitation activity forecast in the future for us. That is your Sudbury weather. It's brought to you by sudburyweather.ca. And we'll be back with, some sports, news headlines, local, and talking about why it's so depressing to live in today's day and age, possibly. We'll be back right after this. Alrighty, and top of the morning to everyone joining us. We got almost 20 people here live, and not to mention those on the radio or streaming on cklu.ca. A little shout out to Isabel this morning. Good morning, Isabel. We met yesterday, and she reminded me that she listens to the show each and every morning. And I thought maybe she stopped at some point, but she said no. She still listens to the show. She has been listening to us since 2017. 2017, faithfully. And so good morning, Isabel. And thanks for listening. And we really appreciate you. We appreciate everyone who's listening and comments as well. So with that, good morning, Isabel. And good morning, Marianne. And everyone, good morning, everyone from Barrie, liked and shared as you usually do. And we really do appreciate those of you who like and share the show. It's a way to just get it out. Not everyone's interested in this type of format of show, but it is what it is. They like hearing the same things that they might hear on, let's say, CBC or whatever instead, and that's fine. But we appreciate at least getting the word out there. Those who appreciate it will. Those who won't, and we're good with that. So good morning, Monique, as well. Marianne from Barrie. Monique, good morning. Judy, good morning on Facebook. Let's see. Debbie, morning all. Thanks for joining us, Debbie, and good morning. Belinda usually has a really positive saying of the day each and every morning. Good morning. Don't just teach your children to read. Teach them to question what they read. Teach them to question everything. Well, thank you. That's in line with what I basically was talking about during the weather this morning. When you look up and you wonder, why are clouds in straight lines going from one end of the sky to the other and crisscross each other? That's not normal. You know, why? Those aren't clouds. What are they? Why are they over my head? And why do I have to see them every day? And why can't I have a full day of sun like we used to have? You know, questions like that. Those were all questions I just asked. I didn't say any kind of statement whatsoever. But is it just me that questions like that? I have no idea. Don't we all drive to work in the morning? Don't we all look up in the sky every once in a while? Don't we all see that? Is it just me? Leon says, one day it will dawn on you that the people that you ridiculed and dismissed as conspiracy theorists were just family members and friends who loved you enough to tell you the truth. There you go. Yeah, you know what? People, when they hear that word, or call you or label people a conspiracy theorist, those that ask a lot of questions, I think, are put into that because, like, why are you asking so many questions? Why do you think about that? Why do you care about that? It's like, man, it's like, that's depressing or whatever. And they're just not wired or something for that. And it's okay. Everyone should be allowed to be themselves, whatever that is, as long as it doesn't harm another person. So Belinda says the world is going to end, but it will end for the deep state. There you go. Them's fighting words, I guess. And good morning, Liette from Collingwood. Much appreciated. With a hand clap emoji, nonetheless. Marianne says, we had almost 2 feet of snow fall on the weekend, and we're all getting rain during the week. Yes, very interesting weather we have this year. Belinda says, won't it be wonderful when the people behind? So I'm not really sure what exactly you were saying there, but that's okay. I know texting sometimes it doesn't come all the way through the message, and maybe spell check and stuff like that. Take your vitamins. It helps for sure for being depressed. That would probably be. I just started now taking a multivitamin, and I'm wondering why wasn't I taking one all this time? Like, my body is definitely depleted. You don't get the right nutrients from foods anymore that we might have in one day because soil is depleted. You need nutrients in the soil in order to have nutrients come through whatever you're growing in the soil. So if you're not doing that, you're not getting it. So you got to get it somehow. So yes, taking and not all vitamins are good either. You got to do your research on which ones are made well. Sorry, won't be wonderful when the people that are behind flying these planes in a checkerboard pattern over our skies are held accountable. Okay, so that's what you're talking about. much appreciated. And yeah, I hope one day it will happen. And we got a great documentary on that. I'm going to share at one point. Yeah, it's going to be just like a Friday fun day or something. We'll just have like a half an hour documentary and we'll play that. I got to find it again and dig it up. A terrible spraying on our area yesterday. Started out sunny and blue skies, ended dark and gloomy. Correct. And that would have been down in Collingwood, but we had the exact same thing in Sudbury as well. Grand rising, everyone, from Monique. Marianne also says, yes, I saw two planes flying beside each other. Maybe they're just friend planes. They were best friends. Liette says, okay. Took a picture as well. Yeah, I've taken so many pictures of that going on. The explanations are out now that it is a scientific movement that is trying to cool the earth. But yeah, but why should it be in wintertime then that they're doing that? It's really not. We don't need cooling in the winter. Thank you. But either way, like what's in the stuff that they're trying to cool the earth with? And there's studies that show it actually warms it up even more. So something else is happening there. And very little is known in the general public. And it's not really talked about very much. I would hope one day the CBC would just come out and start asking some questions instead of just giving us whatever they're told to read each and every day and keeping us entertained and having radicalization as their main thing, to radicalize our world instead of just what the heck is going on, above our heads. Okay, sad for sure. Debbie says they're spraying Saturday here in Sudbury. For sure. They were pretty much daily, but yeah, some days you notice it more than others. Some say they're blocking the sun radiation, grand solar minimum. Okay, that's true. I've heard that as well. Like they're trying to cool things down. Vin, good morning. Thanks for being with us. Much appreciated. Monique, do not take vitamin D. Interesting. Exactly. Why? That's what I was wondering. I thought it's poison made with rat poison. Wow. Well, I guess certain ones. Again, you can't just take any old vitamin from any old company. It just doesn't work. There's lots of crap out there. But there is a real vitamin D as well that you can find and take. I'm sure of it. Okay, do research. That's right. Everybody do your research. It's all you got to do. Your health is only important to you mainly, and your children and family and friends, but you are the one who needs to look after your own health. Don't put it in someone else's hands. It said the soil in the Amazon is man-made, but an unknown process. Really? Wow, where are all these things coming from that I've never heard of before? It's important, this vitamin, just saying. Yep, for sure. Oh, okay, vitamin D is important. All vitamins are important for sure, right? Some more than others in certain cases for certain reasons at certain times. Denise, I don't buy mine at the pharmacy, and my info comes from a naturopath, which would be a good source. I love our naturopath. Our health has been so much better. And can I just start ranting about our healthcare system just for a second? Good morning, AJ, Sudbury News Hounds. Yes, good morning, Jerome. Thanks for being with us. This is the thing. On the way into work this morning, I'm listening to CBC, and there's a great story on a CPAP, someone who snores. And they had this person snoring and said, I snore and it bugs my partner. We have sleep divorce or whatever it is, where I got to sleep in another room. And anyways, yeah, so I have the same thing. I wake up a million times in the night. So my doctor sent me for a sleep test because you can't just go and set up any appointment for anyone. You got to go through your general practitioner. They're the gatekeepers of your health. And in our socialized healthcare system, where it's supposed to be good healthcare for everyone, it's just terrible healthcare for everybody. Okay, so I'll get to why I'm saying that. So they set up an appointment for me. I go sleep there at the sleep center. It took 4 months for me to get there. So it's not quick. Our healthcare system isn't the quickest in the world. It's extremely slow, by the way. Anyways, so I get there 4 months later. I do my sleep. It takes about a week or so for them to get the results to my doctor. And it takes me about 3 weeks to get the appointment with my doctor because they can't share the results with me. They have to share the results of my sleep test with my doctor. They can't share it with me. So they give it to my doctor. I got to make an appointment with my doctor to get my sleep test results. Get my sleep test results. Oh, there's nothing wrong with you. Oh, well, that's weird. Why do I wake up 400 times during the night? And why does my wife say, you can't sleep here anymore because you're snoring too much all the time? So something happened, whether I got a one-off good sleep all of a sudden, who knows? So then I said, well, I want one of those machines. Well, you can't have it if you don't fail the sleep test. I'm like, why not? Why can't I just buy one? Oh, you can't. Why not? You just can't. You can't buy a CPAP machine. They have to say at the sleep test that you scored a certain score or something, or else you don't get a CPAP machine. Really? Like I can't, why? What is this, like some kind of, well-guarded thing? It's just blowing air in my freaking nose. But I can't get it without the doctor saying they think I need it. So that's our healthcare system here. That's one thing. So then I go, just recently, I have a hernia, right? Got a hernia. It's right in front of my stomach. It's a terrible place as I'm working out, trying to stay in shape and go on the table. Yeah, you got a hernia. That's what I thought. I kind of diagnosed myself, looked at myself, looked it up on the internet. I knew I had a hernia. So yeah, you got a hernia. I said, okay, now I also read and know that the only way to fix a hernia is by having an operation, right? Yep, that's the only way. Okay, so what do we do now? Well, it's not bad enough yet for you to get an operation. I said, well, yeah, but you're going to wait for it to get worse? She goes, is it painful? I said, no. She goes, yeah, well, it's not painful, so you don't qualify for an operation. I said, well, how is it going to be fixed? She goes, the only way to fix it is an operation. So I said, well, you're going to wait for me to be in pain and it's really bad until I qualify for an operation? She said, yeah. And then once you deem it okay for me to get an operation, how long is the wait time, do you think, from there? Oh, it can be anywhere 4 months to a year. Yeah. Whereas if I was in the States and I wanted to get a hernia operation, I'd go to the hernia clinic. They'd look at me and they'd operate on me. So everyone puts down the States healthcare system so much. I don't know why. It's not perfect and it's got its bad things and they can point it out all they want. But what would you rather have? And then also doing research, knowing that I'm a man in my 50s, knowing that testosterone is getting lower. They just asked, unless I have zero sex drive, zero, unless I have absolute erectile dysfunction, then I can't have testosterone. Whereas with women, they'll give estrogen until it's coming out the nose, basically. No problem. I said, so women, when they get older, start losing estrogen. And we all know there's, we're going to prescribe estrogen for women, no problem. But when men get a certain age and I want to take TRT, and then she admitted, she goes, actually, I don't even really know what TRT is, she said. She looked about 27 to 30 at the most. It was a nurse practitioner. But she said, oh, but you're 50 some years old. You should come in for a prostate exam for sure, because it's time for that. It's just they have canned one size fits all healthcare. Like prostate. So you get to a certain age, you need a prostate exam. So that's all they just know these kind of certain things, very, very basic things. And when you know it, testosterone actually helps with lessening the risks of prostate cancer. But no, she didn't research that. She doesn't know that. and wouldn't make that connection and would probably get offended if I was the one who told her that, right? Because doctors get offended. Where did you hear that? On the internet. Oh, the internet. Oh, you were researching on the internet. Lots of misinformation on the internet. That's our healthcare system here. And that's not even talking about going into the emergency room. Good luck with that one, where you're a number, not a name, right? If anyone's been there recently, they know exactly what I'm talking about. It's not a secret that our healthcare system is indeed broken, and the more money you throw at it ain't going to do nothing for nobody ever. Okay, so that was my little rant on healthcare, just because it happened to me recently, and I was listening this morning. I want to get a CPAP machine. I want to get one, but I can't because the doctor's got to say it's okay for me to put oxygen in my nose or just air blowing in my nose. Isn't that insane? Does that like make someone go, huh? What, why? Why is that? And then the story on the on CBC, they just said that, yeah, well, you do need a doctor in order to get it. And the person never questioned it. The journalist, so-called journalist who has the story on, doesn't say, well, that's weird. So let's say someone just snores. Why do they have to go to a doctor, have a sleep test, and then get a prescription for a CPAP machine? Shouldn't they just be able to buy it? No problem. No question. No, because can't say that in this country because the person doing the interview totally believes in our socialized healthcare system, right? Because they're an activist that believes the more socialism, the better. Why are they going to question anything socialist? They can't. They're not going to. It's the elephant in the room, but they'll never, ever question it at all. So much appreciated with all the comments coming in. I really appreciate it. So thank you very much. Someone said, what oil? Dastor oil? Castor oil, probably, right? Obviously, I would think that's castor oil. That's a long-standing natural remedy for all kinds of things. I will look into that. Now that you mentioned it, there's always a lot of solutions to our problems. So I appreciate that. And thanks for all the comments coming in. There's so many. I'm going to have to look at some of our news headlines first, if that's okay. Now let's see here. Yeah, as mentioned before, Sudbury 5 came out victorious on Saturday. Sudbury Wolves lost against the bottom-feeding Erie Otters on Friday, but then came back and beat the Barrie Colts on Sunday. They, according to, I know it's a tight race up there, the play-by-play guys on CKLU last night weren't even sure. They thought they'd end up in second after the game, but according to John Hancock on CBC Sports, said that the Wolves are actually on top in the Central Division as a result of that, and they'll be facing North Bay this week at home. So 2 games against North Bay coming up this week. That's going to be crazy because North Bay is right that neck and neck with them, Mississauga as well, and Brantford Bulldogs. It's a crazy race in the Central Division, the Wolves division, and what a year to be going for it when there's so many other teams that are really strong, and it's just neck and neck and neck in that division. So let's see here. Sudbury Stars got their newsletter of the morning. Good chance that snow will greet the beginning of the work week. Okay, yeah, that's what we talked about this morning. $1 million grant will help city police keep tabs on repeat offenders. Provincial funding enables the creation of a bail enforcement team. So that's interesting. I know that that's been a huge thing with the increase in crime. It's been noted that a lot of the crime we have are those that have already committed crimes, went into the system, they had a slap on the hand or whatever punishment they had, they come back on the streets and they reoffend. And it's something like 75% of crime or more are just done by people that are reoffenders and they're not first-time offenders, right? So if we looked at the data and we just kind of really clamped down on repeat offenders and took them out of the equation, it'd be a lot safer place to live. Plea next month in impaired driving crash. The badly injured Sudbury senior accused has a long history with the Sudbury courts. Interesting. So that's from Sudbury Star. Read more about that. Now, here's the thing. There's been some sports memorabilia that was stolen from the Neo Kids Foundation. A drug-dealing duo was charged late last year with possessing thousands of dollars worth of hockey memorabilia meant to be benefiting ailing children in early 2023. A widow donated her late husband's vintage sports memorabilia to the Neo Kids Foundation. The Greater Sudbury Police Service said in a recent report to the board, the memorabilia consisted of vintage signed hockey jerseys, hockey sticks, pucks, etc. The total value of the donated items was nearly $80,000. On August the 24th, the Drug Enforcement Unit of the Greater Sudbury Police Service uncovered a large amount of vintage hockey equipment while conducting a search of a residence. This material was seized and stored pending identification of the rightful owner, the report notes, and the memorabilia gifted to Neo Kids had been kept in a locked room at Memorial Hospital. Interesting place for it. On October the 31st, staff at the facility noticed a large portion of the material worth approximately $50,000 was missing. Anyways, that's all now put back to the rightful owners. Much appreciated. Okay, remember that cultural hub we're going to build for like almost 70 million? It's probably going to cost 100 million by the time it's done. City councillors want to take a second look at the design for Greater Sudbury's proposed cultural hub. During a council meeting last week, Ward 12 Councillor Jocelyn Laundrie Altman introduced a motion to include a barrier-free design in project plans, specifically a ramp to all levels of the hub. As Landry Altman pointed out, during emergency evacuation, elevators are insufficient and could mean an individual could be trapped, waiting for help from first responders. She also said accessibility activists within the city have indicated that the buildings should be barrier-free, period. She asked that a ramp similar to the one at the National Art Gallery of Canada or in Ottawa, be considered as part of the hub design. The cultural hub is planned for Tom Davies Square, with the $65 million project is expected to be completed, which would include the Art Gallery of Sudbury and the main branch of the Public Library, as well as the City Multicultural Folk Arts Association. So there you have that. Now in Sudbury.com, Sudbury creates a one-stop resource team for volunteer groups. So remember, we used to have Volunteer Sudbury. Now we don't have Volunteer Sudbury anymore. It's in the past. The Greater City of Sudbury has set up a one-stop shop resource team to help community groups and volunteers navigate municipal services. Last year, this is Paul Lefebvre speaking, I commented to the creation of a city contact point for community organizations as volunteers. I'm pleased that we now have a dedicated team in place to help our local volunteers more easily navigate city processes and to support them with the great work that they do in our community. Our volunteers are critical in enhancing quality of life for residents, and I look forward to seeing the positive results created by this change. The team is part of the Community Initiatives and Partnership section, which falls under the city's Leisure Services Division and will be the main point of contact for community groups and volunteers. This section brings together a group of existing employees who were doing related work in the various areas of the organization. And for more on that, you just go to Sudbury.com. Also from Sudbury.com, the Lido Hotel sign brings in a pile of cash. Remember the outdoor sign that's part of the old Lido? It was up for sale. Seems there is plenty of local interest. The old Lido Hotel sign put up online auction has netted $925, including HST and expenses. The total price came to approximately $1,108. The sign itself, 110.5 inches wide and 62 inches tall, attracted 1,687 visitors to the online auction page at gov.deals. So there you go. So someone is the proud owner now of the Lido sign. If you can imagine that. Okay, I thought I saw something here. Laurentian Pool, there's still not open, by the way. There's pressure, though, to get it open. A letter from the North Bay Y Titan swim team urging Laurentian University to do what it needs to do to bring the Olympic-sized pool in the Northeast back into operation is receiving a lot of attention. As of Friday, January the 15th, the letter on the topic of the nearly 4-year-long closure of the LU campus pool had been shared on Facebook 113 times. Canadian Olympic swimmer Summer McIntosh has even shared the letter with her Instagram account, signed by the Titans Swim Club's president, Mike Blair. The letter is addressed to Laurentian University's Board of Governors Chair Vernon Cameron. So, we got an Olympic-sized pool there. Can't we figure out how to just open the thing and just get it done? I would think. I would hope that there's something we could do to make use of the Olympic-sized pool. Probably a lot of people could benefit from that. It's putting a stick in the spokes of a lot of athletes wanting to train, obviously. So, all right. For all the latest news in local news, visit Sudbury.news. That's where it's our local news aggregator. You can see all of the local news headlines, including news and sports. The headlines we just talked about and many, many more are there for you. Sudbury.news. Okay, so interesting, I don't know. There's so much going on in Canada. It's kind of depressing to me. We'll give you an example of that. Just recently, Chrystia Freeland came out and said, everything's great. There's no problems. And Alberta News and Views put a really great compilation together with Chrystia Freeland speaking out of whatever she's talking about, wherever she's getting these facts from, and an actual financial person actually saying what's really going on in the country, right? And she's the deputy prime minister, sorry. It's a country, not a province. Deputy prime minister, and she's the financial person in Canada, right? So she should know what the heck she's talking about. But apparently not so much. So let's just check in with that. We'll be back right after this.
Canada was the third most attractive investment destination in the world.
Let's talk about business investment in Canada. What is your data telling you about the year that was?
The numbers are really awful. I guess that's the right way to start off.
That saying is the world is choosing to invest its money in Canada.
Canada is not very competitive on business taxation now. Somebody who's thinking about where to locate a head office, where to locate productive activity is going to be looking a lot more favorably towards the United States now than used to be the case.
Because what the private sector economists are saying is we will avoid the post-COVID recession.
The economy was all really cramped by COVID. I mean, suddenly just a whole lot of things weren't even possible. But as we've come out of that, the fact that the Canadian economy's productive capacity isn't growing very quickly because of this lack of investment, two things really. One of them is the bounce back in Canada has been nothing like what it has been in the United States and in other OECD countries. And so we're seeing this big gap opening up between the rate at which we're adding to capital per worker in Canada and what's happening elsewhere, and especially in the United States.
They're saying is we're going to do something that a lot of people thought was impossible, which is have a soft landing.
Is the risk of a hard landing greater in your view right now, Mr. Palas?
Yes, the risk of a hard landing has definitely gone up, given that so much has already happened, and we're still waiting for the rest of the effects of interest rate rises to work their way through.
Canada was the third most attractive investment destination in the world.
Let's talk about business investment in Canada. What is your data telling you about the year that was?
The numbers are really awful.
Description. No, you just stay right there. You okay? Yeah. You willing to have?
So the next video just all of a sudden starts playing as usual, right? It's whatever. It is what it is. So yeah, so there you go. So blatantly opposite of what experts say. Our Deputy Prime Minister, Ministry of Finance, just comes out and yeah, in the face of reality, I'm just gonna say things that are untrue. We're doing good when we're doing bad. It's a great place to invest. No one's investing in it. Oh, inflation's coming down. Inflation was the worst it's ever been in December. You know, all these things totally opposite. Totally opposite of what is actually happening. What is that called when somebody just says the opposite of everything, no matter what? That whatever that's called is what it is. So if you know the name of what that is, the psychological term for someone who just says the opposite and isn't accountable and laughs at you and is totally in a place of privilege and, you know, power, and they're disconnected with the people. So whatever word that is, that's what that is. Okay, so look at Canada's, we'll just get this up on the screen here. These are the people that are on antidepressants in the world. So the global antidepressant users per 1,000 people. So the country that's on this chart anyways that has the least, which is 13 per 1,000 people on antidepressants, is Korea. Chile is tied. Estonia, 18 people per 1,000, right? And then Hungary's got 27 people per, and then it goes up and up and up. You got everyone there. Now you come to Canada, which is the fourth worst or the fourth most country with 86 per 1,000 people who are on antidepressants. Now, not surprisingly, the United States, even more than that, 110 per 1,000 people, but we're pretty much neck and neck there. You got Canada, Australia, Iceland, which is interesting. Probably all of they're so north, I don't know, and so, kind of isolated, I would think, Iceland. But anyways, yeah. So you got Canada, Australia, Iceland, and the United States in the top four. Canada being the fourth worst one taking antidepressants. What's the reason for that? So anyways, we look at Tucker Carlson had an interview with Tony Robbins here just recently, and he was talking to him about that, like what's going on with the morale of everybody, and we'll check in with him.
There's a spirit of sadness and discouragement that has descended on the country. You can feel it. You could see it in the New Year's celebrations that weren't very celebratory. And you certainly notice it when you talk to people you know well, people who are paying some attention, even those who aren't. They seem down. They're anxious, of course, about this year, which is going to transform the world. There's no question about that. But they also seem a little defeated and sad. What is that exactly? You don't need to be a guru to sense it. It's real. And how should you respond to it? And so that's a question we've been thinking about a lot this week. And one of the people we want to pose it to is a very smart man, one of the most famous people in the world, Tony Robbins, a life strategist, obviously one of the best-selling authors in the country. And he joins us now in studio. Tony, thanks a lot for coming on.
Good to see you again.
Do you know what I mean when I say the spirit of sadness? Do you see it around you? And what is that?
It's sadness and it's anger, too.
Yeah.
You can't travel without seeing it with people on airlines. It's pretty extreme. People have lost their patience after COVID. But the anger usually comes from fear.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of fear about the future because there's not a compelling future. If you ask people what's the vision for the future for this country, I mean, for the days of John F. Kennedy, he would talk about, where we're going to go. We're going to go to the moon. We're going to transform the world. We're going to bring freedom everywhere. Reagan had his view of the city on the hill, and here's what we're going to become. But if you ask today, I don't think most people have a clear vision. And without a vision, people perish. It says in a really good book called The Good Book. But what's missing is a compelling future. What I mean by a compelling future is anybody can deal with the difficult today if they know they have a really amazing tomorrow they're moving towards. But when people start thinking, young people today, I'm not going to have a kid because in 12 years the whole world's going to end, because the environment, which is obviously not true, or there is no future because every party says the other party is going to destroy the world, destroy the country. People without a vision just have no direction. And so it's up to us to become more emotionally fit. And by the way, this is not new.
That's wise.
Everybody, thank you, but everybody who studies history knows things happen in cycles. And as the most simplified version, I think a couple of years ago, you and I talked about this real briefly, but think of it this way. Humanity transformed from survival, hunting and gathering, to actually having a community by figuring one pattern recognition, which was seasons. When you recognize the seasons, you're not panicked. You're not freaked out. Why is it getting so cold? And if you understand the seasons, I don't have to hunt and gather. I can plant in the spring, but if I plant in the winter and work very hard, I get nothing. I have to do the right thing at the right time. So we have to become aware of what season we're in. So springtime in a person's life, springtime in an economy is easy. I've got a little 2.5-year-old, I've got 5 kids and 5 grandkids. So I've got a 48-year-old daughter and I've got a 2.5-year-old daughter. So I've got the whole range.
Speaking of seasons.
Speaking of seasons. But if you look at my daughter, she's learning Chinese, Spanish, English. She's playing the piano. She's doing all these fun things at 2.5. Learning is the easiest thing in the world. When you're in a springtime economy, you think you're a genius with your business. It grows because everything's growing, right?
Right, that's right.
But life is always good times, challenging times that make us grow. So then we have a summer. Summer's always more challenging. It's hot and difficult, and you got to push through. What was growing real easy is not so easy to do anymore. People start to panic. But if you stay strong and you keep pushing forward and keep growing, you get to go to the fall, another easy season, a beautiful season. Now people want to loan you money and give you a house even though you don't have an income. You remember those days, right?
Very well.
There's easy money. Stock markets go crazy. These seasons last about 18 to 20 years. They go every 80-year like cycles. You can see them in 1,000 years of history, and let's say Roman history, they're about 100-year cycles, 25 years. Now they're 18, 20-year cycles. But what follows the reaping time is the winter. Some winters are long, some are short, some are hard, some are easy, but you never go from reaping straight to spring. And we're in winter right now. We're about, depending on who you study historically, we're halfway, 2/3 of the way through it, where there's challenges economically, where there's tremendous fear. Each season has a different emotion until we exhaust it. Even optimism. You ever smiled so much your face hurt?
Yes.
So that's what's like in springtime. Summertime, there's inner conflict within a country. Fall, everybody's reaping again. Not everybody, but certain people. Winter, it looks like it's never going to happen. It looks like, here's the truth. No war lasts forever. No pandemic lasts forever. No economy lasts forever. And if you were God, if you were the universe, how would you set up? After the really rough night, you'd have a great day. And that's pretty much the season. So we're in winter, and we have to retool ourselves for this time. Because right now, people have more fear. It's exaggerated. And the media helps. The media is not bad people, as you well know. It's good people doing their job. Their job is take care of their shareholders. Right. How do you do that? You get attention. How do you get attention? Fear and anger get it more than anything else. That's why we have clickbait. The minute you click on it, even though it's not true, group gets paid.
And so goes on, and it's too bad we couldn't watch more of that. Maybe I'll have more of it tomorrow or on some other shows coming up in the future. Tony Robbins, you can just tell when he's telling you things, it's common sense and nothing to get so overly, excited about, to the point where you lose your common sense. He says a lot of common sense, and that's what it's really about. Truth, it's just, you can sense it. You know what it is when you hear it, and you know when you're getting lies, which is the opposite of truth, right? So he kind of put that beside Chrystia Freeland talking, where you're like, huh? I'm confused. I don't even know what I'm thinking anymore. To someone like Tony Robbins, who's just saying true things. You're like, oh, okay, whew, my brain's working again, So it's something that we really should be doing a lot, and that's knowing the difference between truth and lies. And we might not need so many antidepressants in that case, right? You might not need them, which Canada is the 4th highest the fourth highest consumer of antidepressants in the world. In this study that takes out of every 1,000 people, Canada has 86 people on antidepressants, right? And we need to build, he said, like a strength, a wellness strength, and be able to be self-reliant, and one of that is filling your minds with truth. So you need to know what truth is, first of all. Fill your mind with it as much as you can and get strong with truth. So that way when the lies come, sure, it's going to make you go, huh, for a bit, but you're not going to be swallowed up in depression over it. Someone telling you a bunch of lies, and then it makes you depressed. Good morning, Sudbury campers. Better late than never. Brian, for sure. Welcome to another week of hanging by a thread, possibly. So I hope everyone has a great day, by the way. So leaving with a bit of a positive note. Nobody better at doing that than Tony Robbins. Been around forever doing his thing, and he's a very, very accomplished person. Knows what he's talking about. He's in the trenches doing what he's saying. He's not making stuff up as he goes. I don't know about his politics. I don't know, behind the scenes what he's all about in that way, but I just know pretty much what he's just said there, and everything I've heard him say can do only good if you took his advice, right? Kind of thing. And the more we get to be listening to people that feed our brains in a good way, feed our hearts, feed our spirits in a good way, and makes us stronger, not needing chemicals to alter our way of being, in which we will then become dulled if we take, and many of you may be on these things, and it may be helping you, and it's okay, and it's fine. But through my experience, it can dull your sense of knowing truth from deception, truth from error, truth from lies. It just kind of dulls your own senses if you take something that's not natural to alter your chemicals, and some people may need it. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to go out there and say no one should be on them. All I'm saying is, do you think 86 people out of 1,000 do need to be taking them in Canada? I myself don't feel there needs to be that many. If there needs to be some, it should be a lot lower than that, I would think. But anyways, I guess we're a depressed country. What are the reasons for that? We need to get a little bit more common sense and do things that bring us more joy and bring us more happiness, so we don't need a drug in order to bring us to this state, right? So that's your Sudbury News, brought to you by SudburyNews.news on the internet. You can go there. It's a news aggregator for all your local news. And we also have provincial and national news there as well, along with this show on demand. So you go to Sudbury News Talk and you can see our shows afterwards. You can also see them on Facebook and YouTube as well. So we really appreciate you this morning for joining us. We'll be back, God willing, same time, same place tomorrow. And stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU 96.7 FM. Have a great, wonderful Monday beginning to our week, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow. Ciao.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.